Hey everyone, I'm Clemsy, and today I'm back with another speed build. The lot that I'm building on here is Park Shore, which is one of the lots that we get in the world of Willow Creek, which comes with the Sims 4 base game. And today I'm building the Goth family a new house to live in. You can kind of see on the screen that the Goth's old house is to the left of me, and I decided to build this new house on this new lot. The reason for that is because this one is a 30 by 40 lot, whereas the last one was a 20 by 30, and so it just gives me a lot more room to work with when building this and gives me a bigger yard to kind of play around with. So the reason that I decided to go in and rebuild this house is because the original house that the Goth family lives in, whenever you start just a normal brand new save file in the normal Sims 4 game, it's just really ugly. If you look on the outside, it's a very dark, castle-y almost type of build, which completely contrasts with the rest of the lots in the neighborhood that the house is in. And then the inside is really grand and bold, and I feel like a normal house just wouldn't have something like that. And so I decided to build a new one, and in my save file, because this build is going to be a part of my save file, the Goths just live in a normal looking home, and I definitely still wanted to make it seem like the Goth family would live there. Like, it's not just like a very nice polished looking suburban. It's Victorian inspired, and it has a very dark color scheme to it. I definitely wanted to keep that aspect to it, but I overall just wanted to make it look a lot nicer. So if you're not aware of who the Goth family is, they are probably one of the most iconic, most recognizable families in the Sims franchise in general. I believe they were in The Sims 1, The Sims 2, and The Sims 3, and now The Sims 4. However, their story in The Sims 4 is a bit different than in the other ones. It's made up of 4 Sims, so it's Bella Goth, who is the mom of the family, then Mortimer, her husband, and then 2 children, Cassandra, who is a teenager in The Sims 4, and then Alexander, who is a child. And I've been wanting to implement some of the lore within the previous games into the Goth family that I'm going to have in my save file. So for example, in The Sims 2, I think Bella is abducted by aliens, and so she isn't there in the household, and I kind of wanted in my save file to have it so that Bella was at one point abducted by aliens, but she has since returned home in the household. However, I think in The Sims 2 as well, Mortimer is having an affair with Dina Caliente, and I wanted to also keep that going in my save file as well, because I feel like that would add a little bit of drama into there. Overall, I'm not 100% sure what lore is going to look like with this family. I haven't gone in and I haven't fully made them over yet, because I do want to just make them look better too, as well as give them a new house to live in. I haven't quite finished that yet, and so I haven't really decided everything about the characters that I'm going to include. However, as I was building this house, it definitely gave me a better idea of kind of what I want them to look like. So as you can see, I am currently going in and building the exterior of the house. In general, I feel like it's a little bit Victorian inspired, but it's not quite Victorian. The frame of the house actually went together pretty quickly. I was surprised at how well I was able to come up with that in such a fast time frame. However, the roofing took me such a long time, and I cut out a decent amount of it because it's not fun to just watch me place a different roof and then get rid of it, and then place another one and then get rid of it. And so I just kept what I ended up going with in the final product, which you guys can see there. I really like the contrast of having the dark gray brick that comes with cottage living with the red roof tiles, and since the Goths kind of color is red, that they're most known for, I kind of like having that there as to kind of, it's almost like a nod to it. The interior of the house is not super outright red and black. I did involve some other colors in there as well, which you'll see whenever we get to that. Another thing with this house that I really like is that there's a little greenhouse, or is it called a conservatory? Is that what the room is called? Either way, greenhouse, conservatory, it's attached to this house. I have it as a little room off of the living room, and I kind of imagined that Mortimer is a bit into gardening, and so that's a place that he would use to garden. And I also, in the garage of this house, I included a nectar making station. And nectar making is like the Sims equivalent of wine, and it's a skill that comes with the Sims 4 Horse Ranch expansion pack. And I decided to put that there because I thought Mortimer would kind of be into that as well. I feel like that'd be a silly skill for him to kind of take up, and it would make sense that if he was into that, he would probably want to grow some of the ingredients that would go in there, so he would use the greenhouse along with it as well. And this build, so I originally built the frame of this house, so this part that you're watching right now, I built this back in October, so a really long time ago. And then for whatever reason, I just kind of forgot about it. And then a few days ago, I remembered that I built the frame to this house, and then I didn't do anything else after that. And so I went in, I finished the landscaping for the exterior, and then I built the entire interior really within a day or so. I was kind of on a roll with it. Usually interiors take me a long time, and that's kind of a common theme with a lot of houses I build, is that I can do the exteriors relatively quickly, but interiors take me so long, and I usually will I'll need to dedicate a lot more time to doing interiors, and as a result, I sometimes just forget about them, and I'll move on to building exteriors of new builds, and I will abandon a lot of projects. However, I came back to this one, so that's really nice, and I'm really glad I did, because I really like how it turned out in the end. And here you can see I'm starting the landscaping process. So I just built this portion a few days ago, and the rest of the build from here on happened very recently. And yeah, so for the landscaping, I didn't want to go with anything super crazy. For this video too, I only keep in the front yard landscaping. I didn't include anything in the back or on the side yards because this video was really long. I think I sped it up 600 times in my editing software, and it was still like over an hour being sped up, and that's way too long. I don't think anyone wants to watch that, and so I had to cut some things out in order to make it a more reasonable length. I think it's about 35 minutes now, 37 minutes. I'm not 100% sure on that, but it's somewhere in that 30-minute range, and in order to get it that way, I had to make some sacrifices. And so the landscaping for part of this house was just part of that, the bathrooms as well, and then the third floor, you see where like that little tower is in the front yard. I have that as just like a small little game room upstairs, and it's nothing really special, and so I cut that out as well in order to cut down on the length of this video. But all of that will be in the screenshots, so if you're wondering what it looks like, you can see there. It'll all be included in the end. And I've been running into this problem a decent amount where I will be working on a video and then I'll go and I'll speed it up in editing, and it is so much longer than I was originally anticipating it to be, and so I have to cut out a bunch of things as a result. And I don't know if everyone has this problem whenever they do speed builds and they record it, or if I'm just a really slow builder. I think it's just that I'm a really slow builder. I really take my time, especially on interiors, like I was kind of mentioning. It takes me a while to do them, and I think as a result it makes my videos a lot longer than they probably should be, and so I need to work on speeding up that whole process there. So right now I'm going in and I'm decorating the front porch as well as the balcony on top there, and for these I put some chairs down, some tables, and then on that top balcony there is a telescope there, which I think is meant to replace the big observatory item that came in the base game that you can't really include in many lots because it's so big and so weird looking. So I think that little telescope item is supposed to be a way to kind of have it in like a normal person's home. And then I believe, if I'm not mistaken, your Sims can die using the telescope. Like, I think there's a very small chance that a meteor will come and explode on the Sims. which is definitely a unique way to die. I'm not sure how common that is. I'm pretty sure that does happen. And you can see now that I'm moving on to the backyard. I did decide to give them a pool, and I implemented the curved pools feature, which we just recently got. I think it was in the free patch that came out whenever the Love Struck expansion pack came out. So that was back in the summer, I believe. Oh gosh, that was almost 6 months ago. That's kind of crazy. I feel like it just came out. But yeah, so I used the curved pool feature there, and I think that's actually the first time I've used the curved pools, which it's kind of embarrassing. I feel like I should have used that by now at some point, but it's good I do like it. I'm glad they did add that. And you can see here where the backyard landscaping, what I did there, nothing crazy. And on the other side of the pool, going in, I'm adding some loungers in case they want to tan out in the summertime. Although that big oak tree there, I'm sure blocks a lot of shade, or it blocks a lot of sun out from that. So I'm not sure how well that works. And then I put one of those drink trays in that I think came from the backyard stuff pack, if I'm not mistaken. I think they just added a hot chocolate tray in the new holiday update. And I remember they used to do the holiday updates like every year back when The Sims 4 first came out. They'd always give us something like that free holiday pack you can just get, and I think they kind of stopped doing that a while ago. And so it's interesting that they decided to do the login event and that drink tray, and then I believe they gave us like something in Kaz as well, but I'm surprised they didn't add that to the holiday pack. Like they just put it in base game like that. I mean, I'm not complaining. I will always take free content. I'm just surprised they didn't put it in like that specified holiday pack. Like they didn't keep doing that. But yeah, you can see here I also am in the process of furnishing the garage here as well. And this, I was originally thinking of making it a gym, but I didn't end up going with the idea. I did, however, keep a little punching bag there to make it kind of seem like maybe someone in the family uses it to work out occasionally, but just very casual. And then you can see what I imagined to be Mortimer's nectar setup there. I do at some point want to go in and put bottles that he has made there that are currently aging, because I think that would be fun in gameplay if you were to load up this family and just have that nectar there, kind of implying that he's already done a little bit of it, and I'd have to update his skills accordingly. And that is something I do intend to do once I do make the families. It's not just move them into their new house and forget about them. I do want to go in and update their skills, their relationships, everything to make it look like that they've been living life up until this point. And then as soon as you're playing them, like they still have a backstory, they have pre-existing relationships, careers, like they've been doing stuff, and then you're just kind of coming in and going at a certain point. And now you can see that I have moved on into the interior of this build. And the overall style of this house, I don't really know how to describe it. It's not very traditional. However, I wouldn't say it's very modern, but I do like it. If someone knows what this style is called, please let me know. But it's kind of a mix of both in a way. Like you can definitely tell, I feel like this house definitely shows that the Goth family has money. They're able to afford to decorate their house very nice. However, it's nothing extreme and over the top like I feel like their last house was. Like that house just screamed tacky to me, and I didn't really want that to be the case here. And I'm just going in, and now I'm doing the dining room, and I have the floor plan a little bit weird in this house. So there's an entranceway, and then it goes to the dining room and then the kitchen, or you can go into the living room and then the kitchen. And then I kind of had no choice to do this, but you get to the master bedroom through the kitchen, and you also get to the office through the kitchen. And I don't think that's like the most ideal way to do it, but there really wasn't a better option in the house for me, so it's just kind of what I had to go with. And the floor plan is, and as well as the flooring and the wallpaper decision process, that was something I had to cut out as well, just for time's sake. Doing wallpapers especially take me a really long time, and honestly, like I think I may have mentioned this already, but doing the exterior wallpaper was really easy because I just did one swatch like all the way throughout the entire build. Usually I do multiple to kind of you know, give a little bit of variety. But on the interior, it usually always takes me a long time because I never know what to do. And so I always just kind of cut that out and just do the furnishing of it, because I don't think watching me do the wallpaper and the flooring or just the floor plan is really fun in general. In the dining room, I did utilize that new one tile bar. It's not really new, it came out over the summer. That was with that original login reward event. I think it's the very first one they did, and I've actually been using that a decent amount. As much as I love the other bars in the game, it's really nice to have one that's pretty small looking, because having to fit a 2 or 4 tile bar in just a normal sized room like this for a dining room doesn't really make a lot of sense. So having that one tile one there is really helpful, gives something to do in the dining room other than just eat, while at the same time not taking up a lot of space. And now I'm moving on to the kitchen here. I kind of had a weird color scheme for this one. I've used those white counters from For Rent with some black appliances, and the reason why I did this is because I just felt like, at least with the packs that I have, there currently wasn't really a better option. I didn't want to go with just all black because I feel like that's really boring, and I feel like I wanted to mix it up a little bit. And so I have those white and gray, white cabinets, gray countertops, and then the black appliances. And then another thing throughout this house, and you can see that firstly in the tiling, but also with the furnishings, is that I have like a navy blue color scheme kind of going on. And I know traditionally, like in the Goth household, like the colors of the house are usually very red, but I really liked this navy blue kind of vibe for them, and so that's going to be kind of a constant theme throughout the whole house. And now I'm just going in and I'm cluttering up the kitchen a little bit. Nothing crazy, just enough to make it look like it's lived in and like people actually use it and eat here, but nothing so much that your Sims can't actually use the kitchen in gameplay. Just going in and I'm adding some of that island, and then along with the island with that stove top there, I also have a little table towards the corner of the room that I imagine is like a little breakfast nook. Whenever they don't want to eat in the dining room on the island, they can go ahead and eat at that table there. And then I just put some homework on that table, just kind of make it seem like, you know, someone, maybe Alexander or Cassandra, is just hanging out there while maybe Bella is cooking dinner or something like that. And then another part of this kitchen in between the archway to the living room and the office is I put a little shelving area, almost like a makeshift pantry in a way. We don't have pantries in The Sims, and we don't really have a whole bunch of items to create like a fake pantry. I would love more clutter items with that, maybe like cereal boxes or something along that nature where I can create some stuff. However, I did try my best with what we had. We have some jars that came with the Dine Out expansion pack that I feel like I always use those in kitchens, so I use that a bit there. And one thing with this family that I imagine, in my version at least, is that there's a cat in the household. I feel like Cassandra would have a cat, and so I made sure to include a food bowl, and then in the living room there's a little area for the cat bed and a scratching post and some toys for them. And then additionally, in Alexander's room, I included a little hamster habitat cage thing, which came with the My First Pet stuff pack, and I only have that pack because it was, I believe, like a year ago, advertised for free, where you could get it for like a limited time, and so that's why I have it and that's why I use it. It's because I feel like a lot of players have it because it did go free for a certain amount of time. Otherwise, I would not waste my money buying it. I can't say I really use it super often because it is DLC for DLC, which is kind of disappointing, and I'm glad the Sims team hasn't done anything like that since then, but I did use it in this build. However, if you don't have that pack, you're just missing out on like a little hamster cage. Like, there's nothing really crazy that you would lose in this build. I think in general I didn't really restrict any of the packs. However, I can't think of any packs that this build heavily relies on. Like, if you don't have anything, you should be able to switch stuff out pretty easily on it. Nothing crazy there. Like, I'm using a decent amount of the Book Nook kit. I I think, and then high school years for that tile in the kitchen, and then for rent for that like kitchen set. But again, those are all things that I think you can easily switch out at some point or another. Maybe the greenhouse haven kit, you would have to redo the windows for that greenhouse. However, there are a bunch of floor to ceiling like window tiles that are in the base game that I think will still look good there. So either way, I think you should be able to download this house missing some of the packs and be completely fine. Right now I'm going and I'm furnishing the living room, and you can kind of see I almost have a second entrance using the secret bookshelf door that's part of the base game. And as much as I wanted to keep that in, it just looked kind of off. Like nothing I did really worked with it. And so at some point really soon, you're going to see me take that out and just replace it with some normal bookshelves. As cool as an idea of that as that would be, to have a secret area or a secret door to get into the office, it just didn't work for whatever reason, and so I just had to get rid of it. And then you can see in this room as well, there is the entrance into the little greenhouse conservatory area. And then also with this living room, I kind of struggled a bit on picking out the couches for it, and so I went with this couch from For Rent. However, there's no matching love seat for it, and the matching chairs that go with this couch just did not go with the vibe of this house at all. And so I ended up going with some plain black chairs from Cottage Living instead, and I like them. I think they get the job done. However, it would have been really cool if there was a matching chair for the couch. And that's one thing I think that The Sims is kind of lacking on a little bit, is that they'll include a couch in a new pack and they'll maybe have a chair or a love seat to go with it. But I feel like it's really rare nowadays that we will get a full couch, love seat, chair combo in a pack, and I really wish we would get more of those, because whenever I'm furnishing living rooms, I really like it whenever I'm able to make all of the furniture match, because I feel like that's kind of realistic. You know, most people whenever they have living room, they have like the matching love seat, you know, because you get like a furniture set of some sorts, and that's not really something I feel like I can do super often in the game, and as a result it kind of limits my interiors a little bit. And so I feel like in the future, if they were to implement that a little more, or maybe go back into old packs and then update it so that there'd be a cohesive full living room set, that would be really awesome. But overall, I think this living room turns out pretty nice and cozy. I used that painting TV, which I believe is from the Modern Lux kit. I just didn't see a normal TV in here really looking nice, and so it's nice to have that option in the game as well. And yeah, now I'm just going in and I'm cluttering up the bookshelves. I find usually that many of the bookshelves they don't have enough books for me, and so I kind of use that mini stack of books that I think is in the clutter section of the catalog, and I'll go in and make it look like there are just more books there naturally. And then I just put some statues, some different knick-knack items in there as well, just to make it look a bit more lived in. And the next room that we move into in the interior is going to be this little greenhouse area. I was originally not quite sure what I wanted to do with it. I just knew I wanted that big 3-tile hanging plant furniture piece in there, because I never use that, but it looks so cool and I've always wanted to. So I went and I used that in there, and I have some pots and stuff for your Sims to grow plants, but I also kind of wanted to make it another sitting room, because I'd imagine that this would be a fun room to just kind of sit in and relax. And so I put in two love seats, and I believe they're from the Horse Ranch expansion pack, and then I used the tool mod to move some pillows that we have in the game in order to make it look just a little bit more decorated. I really like how recently they've been adding throw pillows into the game so that we can manipulate them and make the couches look just a little bit nicer, because that's another thing too with the couches, and recently they've gotten a lot better with this by adding different pillows and blankets on the couch to make it look like people actually use them. But for a while none of the couches had anything on them. Like, it would just be plain. And so having those throw pillows to kind of decorate it however you kind of want to, was really nice. And so you can kind of see me doing that in this room a little bit. And I also put in those vertical planters from the Eco Lifestyle expansion pack, just because after putting in the seating area, I kind of realized there isn't a whole lot of room for plants, which is the whole point of the room. And so having those vertical planters there, it works really well. I'm glad that those exist in the game. I can't say I use them a whole lot in my personal gameplay. No particular reason why. I just feel like usually whenever I have a sim that's a gardener, I will usually use the outdoor planter boxes, especially the ones that come with cottage living that kind of just look like it's a plot of tilled soil to grow plants on. That's my favorite one to use. So I use that one a lot. And as a result, I don't really show the vertical planters some love, but I did in this build. So that's pretty cool. And then I imagine that this room that I'm furnishing right here is Mortimer's office. Currently in the normal save file of The Sims 4, like whenever you just load a new one, I think Mortimer is a writer, and I think I'm gonna keep that in my save file. I haven't 100% decided on that. But anyways, this is going to be his office that I imagine he spends a lot of his time in. I'm not sure if he like goes in for work or if he just works from home, just writing books and whatever, but this is what I kind of imagined where he works. It's a pretty small office. I didn't have a whole lot of room to make it really big, include a bunch of skill building items in there, but so it's really just some bookshelves, a desk, and then some chairs that I imagine people sit in sometimes. I also went in and I put some different diplomas and certificates you can get in the game. There's a marriage license, so I'm sure their marriage, like Bella and Mortimer's marriage, is on there. Even though there's not a lot of skill building items in this room, that doesn't mean that there isn't any throughout the house. This house actually ends up being really big. I believe it has 4 bedrooms and then 4 bathrooms along with it. And since there are only 4 Sims in the household and 2 of them are married, I really only needed to use 3 of the bedrooms. And so there's a guest bedroom in there as well. And then a decent amount of the second floor is kind of like a little loft family room area. And if you wanted to, you could easily go in and make that a 5th bedroom. And then on the 3rd floor, like that little tower up there, it's spacious enough where you could even make it a 6th bedroom if you want. But I didn't do that because I didn't really see a need to when only 4 Sims were going to be living here. But that's definitely something you can do if you decide to download this house for yourself. But since I had so much extra space to work with, it meant that I could load it up with a bunch of skill building items. So if you do have your Sims playing in this house, there's a lot for them to do. Like I believe I already talked about, I had the nectar making station, I have all the planter boxes for the gardening skill, but I also have a piano, a chess table, there's a fish tank there too, and then I think I have a game table up on the tower, the one I used came from Growing Together, and that's the one where you can make puzzles, play different board games. So I have that in there, and then there's also the pool in the back. So your sim should have no shortage of activities to do here. And right now I'm going in and I'm furnishing the master bedroom in the house, and this is where Bella and Mortimer are going to sleep. So throughout this house I wanted to keep a darker color scheme to it. However, I didn't have many red accents in the furnishing, and so for the master bedroom I wanted to have a little bit of that in there, so that's why I went with the red bed. I believe it's from the Discover University expansion pack, and I had to say, when I was doing this, I found out there really isn't a lot of good red swatches for beds, especially for the more modern ones. I didn't want that bed, was not my first choice to use. However, I went through a decent amount of them and I just couldn't find ones that I really liked all that much. But overall, I think that the master bedroom turns out pretty well. And now we're moving on into Cassandra's bedroom, and I imagine that the color purple is her favorite color, especially like the more lavendery color. And so that wallpaper I used is from The Sims 4 Vampires, and I wanted the rest of her bedroom to kind of reflect that a little bit. I imagine, you know, she's kind of girly, but she's pretty smart and pretty outgoing as well. I feel like she would have a decent amount of friends, and so I wanted her bedroom to reflect that. It was really nice. I was able to use a decent amount of decor from the book nook kit and the different posters. And I included a keyboard as well in there to kind of signify that she's into music a little bit, even though there is a piano on the 3rd floor. I felt like that would be fun to include as well. And then I also put in a record player. This bookshelf that I'm using kind of has what looks to be records kind of hanging up, or not hanging, but like displayed on that shelf. And so using the record player from the Modern Luxe kit, I felt like was pretty good as well. And yeah, I really enjoy furnishing teen bedrooms and child bedrooms too, because I feel like I can put a decent amount of personality and clutter in there that I can't really do with some other bedrooms that I make in the game. And so I really enjoyed doing this one. Now Alexander's is kind of similar in that way, where I was really able to show off his personality a decent amount too, which we'll get to in a minute. And I wanted to make Cassandra's bedroom just a little bit messy, and so I put that clothes pile there, and I don't think I keep that pile of mess there, but she has a pretty big bedroom, almost, I think it's maybe bigger than the master bedroom even. Maybe? I don't know. I hope it's not. But the master bedroom, it does have an ensuite and a walk-in closet, whereas her bedroom only has the ensuite. And then with this bay window, we don't have one of those built-in bay window seats that's big enough for this one. So I kind of made my own by combining a couple of benches and put some pillows on there, as well as a book nook thing that I imagine, you know, she would read on a little bit. It's a very cute space. I imagine it'd be really fun whenever friends come over, using that little area there. And I'm just finishing off her room by putting some wall art up. And yeah, now I'm moving on to Alexander's room. You can see that little hamster cage that I put in there, but additionally I put in a science set, an art table, a desk, and a bookshelf, just to kind of show that this kid's like really smart and crafty. He also has a really big bedroom as well, kind of a common theme, like all of these bedrooms are really big, like I said, because I had so much room to work with in this house, which is really nice because a lot of the houses I make, they are a little cramped, and I do like them that way. However, this was a nice change of pace to have a decent amount of room to work with, but as a result, that meant I could fill it up with a bunch of things for The Sims to do, and this room was no exception. However, Alexander doesn't have an ensuite. The bathroom right next to his room is shared with the guest room, as well as, I believe, any guests that are just like on the downstairs area, because the only bedroom, or the only bathroom on the 1st floor is part of Bella and Mortimer's master suite, and so it wouldn't make sense the guests would use that. I imagine they would come upstairs and probably use that bathroom that's right next to Alexander's room that he also uses as well. And so now I'm just going in and I'm cluttering up that bookshelf. I put a decent amount of school supplies, and I put that jar of marbles from the For Rent expansion pack, but I didn't put the actual marbles game out. Oh, I should have done that. Oh well. Yeah, I'm just going in and I'm just decorating it, finishing it up there. I cluttered this one up a little bit, but nothing crazy. But there's so much space in this room, it's hard to clutter it up so much, so I just did a little bit. And I imagine that Alexander was pretty into void critters, and I don't actually have the pack that the void critters are included in. I believe that's the kids room stuff pack, where you get the void critters game table and all the cards. I don't have that one, but one of the packs I have has that void critters poster. And so in a world where I do have that pack and void critters exist, he'd be really into those. That's what I'm kind of thinking in my head. And now I'm just putting some crafts on the desk. I imagine he utilizes that pretty often. And yeah, we're about to move on into the guest room. And I decided for the guest room to make it really generic because, I mean, you don't know who's going to stay there. And I put in one of those walk-in closets from the Get Together expansion pack. I could have use that more traditional one. However, I think that 2x1 tile closet gets the job done pretty well. And then the bed I used is that 4-poster bed from City Living, and I included a little sitting area with rocking chairs in there as well for whatever sim to kind of relax in. And this is the bedroom that has the balcony entrance, or the balcony access there, and I don't really love that idea, but it's just kind of how the floor plan ended up working out. I kind of thought that the other children would want the other bedrooms more than this one, and so as a result the guest bedroom has the access to the balcony. So if you are going to use that in your gameplay, you are going to have to go through that bedroom, but I don't think it's a super big deal, and it's kind of nice if you are a guest staying over at this house. And for a while, I've always put guest rooms in my houses if I can. However, until the Growing Together expansion pack, they were really kind of useless. But now that stayovers exist in the game, now you can actually kind of use them for what they're meant to be, which is really nice. I'm glad that they were able to add that in. And finally, I'm now furnishing the little family room loft area that's on the second floor, and this is where I put in a decent amount of skill building items. You can see that piano there, that eventually goes up into the third floor. And then I used this Get Together, not Growing Together, the Get Together couch set, and this is one of the couches sets and living room sets that we have in this game where it actually is like the full couch, chair, love seat combo, and that was so nice. And that's honestly the main reason why I used it, is because I was able to include all 3 of those different pieces in there, which I really appreciated. I don't think it really goes with the house super well. I think it's fine. I think it could be a little better, but for that reason I just decided to go with it. I also put some plants in the window. Like, again, I imagine Mortimer is into growing plants, and that probably extends to house plants as well. And then a chess table that I imagine Alexander uses a decent amount. There's also a gaming system there for whenever maybe some of the kids have friends over and they want to play video games. And now we're getting into the screenshots. So I think I'm going to end this voiceover here. If you'd like to download this house from the gallery, it'll be under my EA account ID, kalimsiYT. That's KALIMSIYT. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.